Happy New Year, but Happy New Year again. And this lecture is very simple. It's an election of inspiration to help us to start this new year with positive thoughts, understanding that challenges will come, but when they come, we will be well prepared to face it. So let's go in this trip. Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year, guys. So, every single year, in Brazil especially, we have this retrospective show where we see all the main things that happened in the previous year, and we also see like famous people that died in the previous year, and things that the people say that will happen or might happen in the future year. But the important thing for us is really thinking on us. So what can you do in retrospective to your life? What have you done in 2019 that was positive? And what have you done that was kind of more or less? And what have you done that was a mistake? So it's important for us to reflect on it. So we should revisit, reflect, and understand all the situations and persons we encounter, understanding the problems and the errors, and thinking about the problems. Were they solved? They are not solved? Are you increasing the problems that you had in 2019? How can you think about modifying it, making some kind of positive change in your life? And of course, we always have the hits, the positive things that we did and we want to repeat. So we come to 2020. We come to 2020. So every new year we are full of desires, plans, and hopes. Always hopes for better. And it's good because we always want to improve. But we have to think about the situations from the past, the persons from the past also, and also imagine new situations, new persons we are going to meet, and maybe new issues we are going to have, new problems, but we have to think about it in a positive way, already imagining what can I do, what can I modify to change, what can I modify to better myself. So this is very important. We are going to go through this in detail. So faith and perseverance is extremely important. So you cannot start a new year already like, oh, it's going to be worse than last year. Oh, I'm going to fail. Because this is already a bad start. So it's good that even media always boosts our energy with 2020, the new year, new things happening, wonderful things happening in our lives. So, because of this, everyone that I know have a New Year's resolution. Even if you're not that type of person that write down your New Year's resolution, you think about your New Year's resolution. What are you going to do to improve in this year? And everybody can take a second now to reflect. Have you thought about that? Maybe not, but deep inside you had desires for a better year, and then there are lots of New Year's resolutions, and some that are very deep. I chose a very basic, super simple one. Most of the people always think about lose weight, exercise, change my diet. These are very basic New Year's resolutions, and I think all of us tried, but there are ones that are much more in-depth, like forgiving my brother that I don't stalk for, 10 years, or many other things that are much more deep than that. But let's start with the super ultra basic thing. So I joined a new company in October, and I was super excited to know this new company offers a gym class. I was like in heaven because I love to exercise, but I really don't like to pay for this. So if the company offers, yay! So I joined in November, and I was like in disbelief. The class was empty. So it was almost like I'm having a private teacher with 2 or 3 other friends, and I was like, yay, this is the way to go. And then I returned this week, and the class was like this. You cannot even open your arms. You have to like, okay, I'm not going to hit you. Okay, oh my God, what am I going to do? Let's just do like that. Because of this. The New Year's resolution in January. Everybody's super excited. Yes, I'm going to lose those 20 pounds. But then when February, March, April, you're like, I don't need to lose 20 pounds. Just 10 is fine. And then March and June, you're like, it's so difficult to go to the gym every week. Maybe I go once a month. And then soon you are like this. The gym becomes this. Becomes so terrible that even the teacher is not there anymore. No, it's a TV screen. So this is the New Year's resolution to most of the people. You start so well, and then it's not even the middle of the year. You are already going downhill. And we are talking about gym. Imagine about the other New Year's resolution that I said are much tougher. So this is something that we have to reflect. And this is extremely important. If we don't have perseverance to go to the gym or to start a diet or to control our mouths or whatever is your difficulty, how you are going to improve in the resolutions that are very, very difficult. So we have always to start with the basic so we can start going up and up and up. So we can start building up our strength to be able to do something more difficult. So we need perseverance, strong will, and of course, hard work. We can't be praying to God to help me to be healthy so I can go to the gym. But then I'm perfectly healthy and I'm like, today I'm kind of lazy. It's not going to work. So we really have to have these 3 and many, many others in order to build up our strength and complete our basic resolutions, advancing to the more difficult ones. And then this is another question. How will be the new year? So everybody wishes everybody Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And of course we all want a happy new year. Understand we are all different. So whatever is happiness to one might not be happiness to another person. And what is this level of happiness that we are trying to also achieve on Earth? You have to understand Earth is still a planet of trials and expiations. We are going little by little to the new phase of regeneration, but we still feel the bloom force of trials and expiations. So when we think about how will be the new year, you have to think about how will be you. How are you facing the new year? This is important. So you can be this person here. Look, you are in the same bus, boat, train, but this one looks only in the negative aspects of life. This is a very common image. I received like 500 of this, and I said, I'm going to put in the lecture because it's very impacting. This one is in the same bus, looking at the beautiful landscape, looking what God gave us, and we can explore, we can see the light. And that's how we have to face our lives. Of course, there are some days that we are a little bit more to this side, we're gazing to the other side. But we have to remember and gaze to the light. Understanding that the happiness is not like this planet is not a planet of happiness yet, but we have our happy moments. Every single person here, they have happy moments. Even if sometimes you go down and you are upset, you are sad, but that's why you're here. You are all blessed to have a house, to be able to attend, to be able to listen to a lecture, to be able to have someone that you can talk later on, to talk about your problems, your issues, understanding many other items, understanding that hardships and conflicts are normal. We all have, or we all will have. So this sentence, human happiness is defined by the hardships and conflicts you have been through. The greater they are, the greater is your happiness. Peter Deneuve. So what makes happiness really is being able to face your difficulties, understand them, and looking back and saying many things you went through, and in that moment they were horrible, they were terrible, they were so painful, but somehow you were able to overcome and you passed. And nowadays you remember like a memory from the past and saying, yes, I went through difficult times, but thank God I was able to overcome it, and I'm better now. Understanding that other types of difficulties might come too, but we will be able to overcome it. And we are here on earth to improve. So every day in our lives we are improving in every aspect, improving in our intelligence, improving in our moral aspects, improving in our spirituality. So I always say that, but if you don't need to go back to other reincarnations. If you go 20 years, okay, I can go more, I can go 30 years. You guys just can go 10 years. But if you go 10 years and you think about certain situations and how you act and react, nowadays, would you act and react the same way, or you would be a little bit better? That's what we have to do. We have to improve constantly. And these are little guidelines that I put it for our Happy New Year. This is the first one. I'm going to go through all of this in a little bit of more detail. But trust in God is extremely important. Extremely important. A lot of people don't even believe there is a God. God doesn't even exist. But some of them say there is the power of energy, whatever you want to call something more important, more special than you, it's already good. Understanding that we human beings created lots of things. I was driving here talking to my son who is 15, and we are talking about technology, and he was mentioning that he has a bare memory of a TV with that big back. And I was like laughing so much because he has a bare memory. So most of his lifetime he remembers flat screen TV. And I'm like, oh. So it's like something that's so common for him and for us. So immediately came in my mind the telephone, because we have seen in so many shows the home phone numbers, the home telephone machines from the past, that you had to put your finger and turn, or actually it's like this. I don't even remember. And when you give these old phones to teenagers and you ask them to make a phone call, it's hilarious. You can see many videos on YouTube. And I was asking myself, okay, how do you make a phone call? Remembering that my in-laws, they had this phone in their basement. So he saw it, he was exposed to it, and then he said, very easy. I know how to do it. I'm like, oh, awesome. So describe how you make a phone call right now. Oh, I just go to the machine, and I said in details. Oh, I take the number, I look at the number, and I see 9. So I put my finger on the 9, and I turn until a click. I'm like, oh, good. So he described everything, and I said, okay, so what else? How the person is going to pick up the phone? Well, the person is going to ring me back. I'm like, what? You are making the phone. How the person is going to ring back? I don't know. I wait. So the basic thing, that's taking the phone and listening to the tone, he didn't know what to do. And I couldn't believe. So this is like the technology is spreading so super fast that nowadays we see ourselves asking the teenagers for help in many, many things. Things that I never imagined in my life I'm doing right now. So these are little books. If you don't know, if you have ever seen, they are little books with very short messages, super positive messages. So you can just read a message every day when you wake up or when you go into bed. It gives you a boost of energy. They are beautiful books. And these are the books that I actually consulted in order to do the list of the guidelines that I'm going to describe to you right now. So trusting God is our first item. So our loving mother and father, God is our mother and father who created everything and knows everything. So when you think about a good mother and father on earth, nowadays we see so many videos of animals in Australia who are struggling to survive the fires. And yesterday I saw a mom kangaroo waiting for her baby who fire everywhere, and she is there waiting for him to come down, and he comes and she hugs him and runs together. Who is if an animal that we consider irrational can do it, can protect their little babies? A good mother and father on earth, they do the same. So why God, that's the mother and father of us all, wouldn't do it? Of course, when we are going through struggles, we usually say, God, why me? Because we think we are so special, we can't have any type of pain. We are special. We are the favorite child of God. But you have to understand that God gives these trials to all of us in order to help us to improve. We need this. If our child, our own child, has every single thing they want, they become spoiled brats. Yes, they do. If they don't understand to receive a no and respect the mother and father, that's a problem. So God does the same thing to us. It's difficult because sometimes we say, oh, this is a little too much. But we have to understand that we are immortal spirits. This is one reincarnation. We had so many and we will have so many extras. So everything is for our improvement. And here, trust in yourself. Look at this kitty cat. And he sees himself as a lion. And that's how we have to see ourselves many times. We have to see ourselves when we are facing a struggle, we are facing something very difficult. We have to think, yes, I can. I love this sentence. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. If you don't think like that, who is going to think like that for you? Yes, probably your mother. She's going to be, yeah, baby, you can do it. Don't worry. But if you don't think like that yourself, that's very difficult. So think of yourself as the little cat that sees himself as a lion. And be positive. Quit your bad behaviors and create good ones. These are the very simple aspects that we have to start. Be positive. Remember, oh, I did this last year. Last year I did this and the result was not good. So quit this and create a good one. Improve yourself. Change. This is very important. The other one is know thyself. So in the Spirit's book, question 919, we have, how can we, the question is much longer, I'm just summarizing. How can we morally improve in the present life and resist the attraction of evil? Who answers this is the Spirit of St. Augustine. Long answer, but summarizing is, at the close of each day, I examine my conscience, reviewing all that I had done, and ask myself whether I had not failed some duty, whether someone might not have reason to complain of me. So his answer is hard for us. Like when you see one might not have reason to complain of me, you're already like, whew, that's impossible. Because even Jesus, the perfect spirit who came to earth, not everyone accepted, understood. Imagine us. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. You have to examine your conscience. What you did that day, was it positive? If you did something that you were thinking, oh, phew, maybe it was not very good, reflect about it and take actions. Take actions. Be proactive. Ask for forgiveness. Start saying, I'm sorry. I messed up. Let's start again. This is a very good point that we should do. So reflecting on our faults and correcting our imperfections. We think we are perfect. Oh, I'm the best person in the universe. I smile to everyone. Oh. And then my son tells me, oh, you are so different in the house. You are always complaining. You are this, you are that. I'm like, well, in the house, I am your mom, 100%. And he's like, oh, I prefer the girl that goes to the Spiritism Center. Who are mothers and fathers? They understand that sometimes it's not easy to deal with your kids. They are adorable, they are cute. My son loves to kiss me and hug me when he wants something. But you are the responsible person when you say, no, honey, sorry, you can't have that. And oh, why? Well, why? Because of this. They need to build up this understanding of responsibilities too. So if we are not the ones who are going to give them, life will give it. And when my son started complaining about waking up or whatever, I said, listen, you are still lucky that you are waking up to go to a Spiritism Center. Imagine how many kids younger than you have to wake up to work and survive because their mother and father need it. What? Your mother and... Can you hear me? Well, my voice is strong enough anyway. So this is very important for us to help our kids to build up. So that when they become adults, this will be already in their minds. Then we move on and we come to number 4. Seek and you will find. This you can find in the Gospel 25, items 1 and 2. If you help yourself, then heaven will come to your aid. So this is what I just mentioned in the beginning. You know, you were there, you need a job, and you are praying to God to help you to get a job. Please, God, help me. And the guardian angel is working, everybody's working, but you didn't even create a new resume. So how can you get a job? Your guardian angel is like, create the resume, send it out, call a friend. But you are like, oh, God is not helping me. You have to do your part. You have to work in any aspects. Then you're going to be progressing, and you progress also in intelligence. Many times when we are searching for a job and we are not getting it, it's so difficult. We are forced to diversify. You are forced to think about other jobs that I might qualify as well. And then you go to the job interview and you're like super ultra scared. But if you did your research, you can even say, I don't have experience in this field, but many of my qualifications in my other fields can apply because of this, and this. So you are using your intelligence to convince your future boss that you can learn, you can improve. This is already something. So in Spirit's book, questions 674, 2685, the law of labor. So the law of labor is a natural law that we need to go through it. This is a reality. Most of us complain that we work. Oh, I don't like to work. Oh, it's so difficult. My boss is this. But whenever you retire, you will see things different. You think, oh, when I retire, I will be in paradise. Not really. Not really. Maybe some people who retired in a fantastic financial situation, they can just pick up and travel around the world. But most of the people who retire cannot do that. And they stay home, and then they are older, they start getting full of aches and pains. And if they don't have like a hobby, or if they don't have something that can fully complete their lives, this is difficult. So let's think about our future too. We need to make efforts, physically talking, but also spiritually talking. We have to build up our spirit to a better life. And I was telling my husband, I don't have this problem with retirement because my retirement is so far away. I probably will have to work until the end of my life. And I say, but if I don't, I will do like David, my friend, who is not here today, that dedicates a lot of his time to doing lectures, studying, traveling around, talking about the beautiful teachings of Jesus. So this would be a nice occupation. Number 5. So love and instruct yourself and love one another. We understand to love one another, we really need to love and instruct ourselves first. So for us to be able to love another person, I'm not talking about your honey, your kids. I'm talking a more general world. I'm talking about loving our neighbors, loving our difficult boss, loving the people that you don't even know. That's the type of love. So if we don't love ourselves, understanding our qualities, understanding our difficulties, it's much more difficult to understand someone else, especially when the someone else is not that friendly to us. Is a person that has some kind of issues to us. That's more difficult. But when we are able to do that, love one another gets much easier, gets much faster for us. So here in the Gospel, chapter 6, you see Christ the Consoler with this message. Spiritists, love one another. That's the first precept. And educate yourselves is the second. So love comes first, but education in all the ways comes second. Education is in education really, that the education we... Oh, I'm stepping on it? Yeah. Oh my God, I feel this microphone is too here, so I have... It's like this. So we have to educate ourselves in every sense, in the moral, in the spiritual, and when we are able to educate ourselves, then love one another becomes so much easier because we comprehend everything. When someone is doing a mistake, we see that person as our brother, as our sister, as our kid that might be doing the same thing, and we have this forgiveness and this love within us in a much easier way. Then shine your light. So we all have a light. We all have a light. And recently I took my vacation time to start rereading the beautiful collection of André Luiz. You know, I start rereading the Nosso Lar, the Astral City, and I'm finishing The Messengers, the second book. The movie Nosso Lar was fantastic, was gorgeous, beautiful, but it can never reproduce the book because the book has so many amazing details. That's impossible. So you saw the movie, phenomenal, but please read the book. It's so much in depth. When you go to the second book of this collection, The Messengers, André Luiz is a spirit that already was able to overcome many of his vices, many of his issues of the past. And he's living in Nosso Lar, but now he wants to help more, he wants to learn more. So he is invited to go to different colonies in order to help. Then he's traveling towards the earth. So he's going to go to the lower zones He's traveling with Aniceto, is his guide, and a friend, Vincent, who is also a doctor. And when they are leaving Nossulá, they are approaching Nova Redenção, the name of the colony. I'm having issues with this microphone. Then, when they arrive there, they didn't even arrive yet. They look at themselves, and when they look at themselves, they see their full body is irradiating light, beautiful light. The light they had only seen in others. They never imagined they could have it. So they are irradiating their own light. And then Aniceto tells them, it's because you both already achieved to a certain level of love and understanding the pain of the others. So now you are producing your own light. And one day we will do the same. But we have to work on improving our moral values, irradiating good thoughts, and working in good actions. One thing is to think good, to send good, positive vibrations to people. Another thing is actually doing it. Doing something that's positive and help others, not just your family members, but others. And be the good example. This is also very important to the ones who have kids. The kids, they will imitate whatever you're doing, whatever you are saying. Love and charity, very connected to shine your light. Love and charity. In the gospel, we have the example of the good person. The good person is always good, humane, benevolent with everyone without distinction. Always good. We have our moments of goodness. Yes, one day we are really good, one day we are awesome. People are like, whoa, bragging about us. Then the next day we have an issue like, you become what you were in your 10 years ago or your 20 years ago. And this is we have to work on this constantly so we can really fully improve. And we have to try to practice charity as Jesus defined. Benevolence to all, indulgence with others' imperfections, and forgiveness to the offenses. Nowadays, when we think about the charity, we immediately think about giving things to other people, helping other people. It's also wonderful. It is wonderful because there are so many people that need. But giving a good word, giving a good thought, forgiving that person that's fighting with you constantly. This is the charity that Jesus told us that we need to achieve, and this is the more difficult one. And disappearance of materialism. Usually materialism is very connected to science, unfortunately. But here has in Spirit's book 147, the question is, why those who study moral sciences are so apt to fall into materialism? The spirits give the answer. Human pride fancies knowing everything and refuses to admit that there are things that transcend human intelligence. So our scientists, they are still stuck in this thing that they can see, they can prove. If they cannot see, they can't. But one day they will fully understand. We already achieved to a point that are many scientists who are already achieving. Many scientists that they reach to a point they say, I cannot see, I cannot prove, but I believe there is something bigger than that. So one day all will be saying that. We are going there slowly, but constantly we are going. And the main point for us, that's most of us, I hope, all of us, understand eternal life. So, again, Spirit's book 153. In what sense should we understand eternal life? The life of the Spirit is eternal. The Spirit is eternal. The Spirit. This body is not eternal. And we don't come back with the same face as a lot of people say, oh, we saw a picture of the great-great-great-grandmother. No, we don't come back with the same. Sometimes that is possible. Sometimes, even in Emmanuel's story, when he reads about his own grandfather, they have a drawings of his face and it was very similar to his. And it was his own reincarnation. He was his own grandfather. So this is interesting, but it's not everyone that's like that. So we will have many reincarnations to improve and find happiness. So this is one reincarnation, but we have to do the best we can. We cannot be here waiting for something to happen. We have to take action and do it. So now I'm going to show you 2 videos before I finish. And this first video is basically the theory. What you have to do to improve and what actually happens in our brain to improve and to be happy. So a lot of people think happiness comes from material things, and no, happiness actually does not come from material things. Happiness comes from something totally different. And my second video is going to show a person who actually was able to put this in practice. So let's see, is the sound connected to? No, the sound is in music, so 1 second. Is this the music?
Yeah. You go to Pandora.
Oh, Pandora.
It's in there on the...
Where is Pandora? Explorer?
It should be
Google?
Yeah, on Google.
Okay, maybe here. Oh, this.
I'll sit right here.
Good.
I'm Dr. Mike Evans, and this is a short whiteboard on happiness. It's kind of a crazy topic, and I'm Dr. Mike Evans, and this is a short whiteboard on happiness. It's kind of a crazy topic, and the philosopher in me feels the more we try and make it a formula, the farther away we'll get. It's also likely we all have different meanings for happiness: pleasure, being engaged, life satisfaction. In medicine, we call it subjective well-being, with many domains: work, family, friends, spiritual, contentment, control. So I'll leave it to you to know what happiness means to you, but I do think the science of happiness comes with some useful lessons. First is, what predicts it? Well, the research points to a lot of factors, but 3 big picture players. First are your genes, your temperament or personality. Second are your life circumstances, things like wealth, where you live, health. Third are your life choices and behaviors. So of these 3 players, which is the most important? Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky, a University of California professor, has tried to answer this question. And I think she will say these are very approximate, but about half is predicted by your genes, 40% by your life choices, and only 10% by your life circumstances. So this is interesting. I mean, I do think there's a line in the sand. So for example, lifting people out of poverty would give a lasting bump in well-being. But for most, we think, if I just had that new car, higher salary, bigger house, new lover/partner, I would be so much happier. But the research says that sure, there is a boost with a new car, a new hockey stick, a new marriage. But after time, so with a car, this might be a few months, and the generally accepted time with a marriage is about 2 years. The new becomes the norm, and our happiness quotient drops back to what it was. The fancy name for this is hedonic adaptation. But perhaps the observation is that happiness doesn't come from getting something we don't have, but rather from recognizing and appreciating what we do have, or that happiness is best pursued by extracting the most possible from the present before turning one's attention to the future. Some will call this mindfulness or living in the moment. The second big lesson is about your life choices. The good news is they are mostly in our control and overlapping. So expressing gratitude, being more forgiving, meditation and mindfulness, exercise, investing in quality relationships, kindness, altruism, and doing things for others, compassion, having good flow, where you have a kind of spontaneous joy from being fully absorbed in a task, minimizing thinking traps that make us feel bad about ourselves, All of these can work with our factory settings to increase happiness levels. And don't underestimate their effects. Let's take one, having good relationships. The Grant and Gluick cohort trials have been following two groups of men, one advantaged and one disadvantaged, for over 75 years. And when they looked to see what most predicted being a healthy, happy octogenarian, well, it wasn't middle-aged cholesterol. It was middle-aged satisfying connectedness to family, friends, and community. And there are many nuances we are just figuring out. For instance, dosage. Dr. Lubomirsky showed in a small trial about counting your blessings, where you list what I am grateful for, helped when it was done once a week, but not so much 3 times a week. So in the end, I think, sure, if you want to buy something cool, go for it. It might even give you a short-term bump in well-being. But maybe also consider investing in a few things that have a longer-term effect, a happiness portfolio, if you will. You may have a set point, but just like your risk of heart disease, you can alter this a lot by doing things differently. Hopefully this helps. I'm grateful that you listened and watched. See? I feel better already.
And now this short video shows a story of a woman who actually, she's able to put this portfolio or happiness on her daily lives.
Let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. These surveys that we
It's very low, can you hear?
they're designed to measure basically how happy you are. You scored a perfect score. Anybody that we've given this test to since we've been doing this, it's really quite remarkable. I think we're all anxious to know, why do you think that is?
Well, I'll give you a very brief little summary of what I do every morning when I wake up. I wake up and I say, this day I choose to be happy, well, and complete. That's first. I thank God for letting me get up. Then I thank God for the fact that I have running water, I have toilet, I have soap, I have toothpaste. There are people in the world who don't have any of those things. And for food. Because sometimes we get around, think I can make it today, I don't think I'm going. But we have to realize that we are truly blessed. Then I thank God for peace in my house. I have a peaceful house and I meditate. And then after I meditate and have my prayer, I just say, okay, God, how may I serve you today and who can I help today? And finally, I watch cartoons. And when I watch the cartoons, I wait for the answers I just ask. And that's a very happy, beautiful day for me. Because I don't have any, cartoons never have a problem. There's always an end to it, right? Something good happens at the end. And I have several cartoons that I watch until my day begins. And so therefore, I don't have an attitude. I'm glad to be here.
I think you just told us in 2 minutes more than any of the studies we've looked over have. So I'd really like to thank you for coming in today and just generally doing fantastic work for helping out the children that you do and for having a fantastic attitude. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's my pleasure. You should watch cartoons.
I do. Oh, good. What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite is Clifford the Red Dog.
Clifford the Big Red Dog, Adventure Time for me. You should check it out. It's great.
So thinking, so silent.
So if you couldn't hear, this lady, she is saying that every day she wakes up and she gives thanks to God for her body, for having water in her house, for having food, for having a roof. And she meditates about what she can do to improve. And she also thinks about who she can help that day. So this really encompasses the good person. It encompasses everything. So every day we can wake up with this boost of energy, thanking God for everything we have. We might not be super rich, super whatever, but we have peace in our homes. We have a physical body that's working. We have food. So this is so important. But she doesn't stop there. You know, she goes further. who can I help? Her answer was very much connected to the answer of St. Augustine. And that's why her score was the maximum. These young scientists have been studying hundreds and hundreds of people in many different things. And one is the level of happiness that can be achieved. And this simple lady scored the top. So I hope you guys enjoyed. You can put in action your plan, your good guidelines for 2020. And please let me know if you have any questions, any comments, and I will be happy to answer. Everybody.